My name is Dr. John Douillard, and I want to talk to you today about something that's very important. We are all exposed to fat-soluble chemicals, environmental pollutants, cancer-causing chemicals, heavy metals. These are chemicals and toxins that are making headlines today. Our digestive system is naturally designed to detoxify these chemicals, but if you're not digesting in an optimal way, in an efficient manner, you may not be getting rid of these chemicals out of your body in an efficient manner. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. It's critically important that you digest well. When you digest a fat chemical, a fat-soluble chemical, is broken down in your digestive system into little tiny pieces by the bile that's secreted from your liver. And once that's broken into little pieces, it goes into your little intestinal tract, and there's these little villi, little grasses that sweep in the wind that pull fat-soluble toxins off the wall of your intestinal tract. They also pull fat-soluble good fats out of your digestive system as well. So these little villi are really there to pull fat-soluble chemicals and nutrition off the wall of your intestine. Now, if for some reason the bile is not adequate and those little fat-soluble molecules are not broken down properly, then we're not going to assimilate those fats. But what's also important is the integrity of those villi. If you have stress, lots of coffee, irritants, sometimes the intestinal mucosa, because of stress, will produce a certain amount of reactive mucus because they're irritated and stressed. A long-term history of constipation will cause irritation of your intestinal mucosa. They'll produce reactive mucus, and those little villi will stick to the side of the wall, and you won't absorb those fats. There is the villi on the inside of your intestinal tract, and then there's what's called the gut-associated lymphatic tissue on the outside of your intestinal tract. I call this the most important half-inch in your body. That quarter-inch on the inside of the wall of the intestine and that quarter-inch on the outside of the intestinal wall, your lymphatic system. These fat-soluble chemicals, these terrible cancer-causing chemicals, are pulled off the intestinal wall after they've been broken down by the bile into these little villi. They get attacked through the intestine, they get pulled through the intestinal wall, attacked by white blood cells in the lymphatic system, where they're processed by over 500 lymph nodes and neutralized and processed, really prepared for the body to detoxify them in an effortless manner. Now, if you have any lymphatic congestion issues where your belly swells, you hold on to more belly fat, you have itchiness or on your skin or rashes, holding on to more water, breast swelling when you menstruate, cellulite, allergies, sore throats, fatigue, headaches, these are all classic indicators of a lymphatic system that is boggy. This system is the biggest system of your body, and it controls your immune system. So if that lymphatic system is static and those little villi are stuck to the side of the wall, then you're not pulling not only fat-soluble chemicals out of your intestinal tract, but you're also not pulling fat-soluble nutrition out of your intestinal tract. For example, we have a fish oil epidemic deficiency in our country today. Everybody's eating fish oils like crazy, and essential fatty acids are the buzz. Well, maybe we are not even digesting those fats as well as we should, and maybe that's the reason why we are so deficient in fish oils and essential fatty acids, because we don't digest them. So maybe we should think about, let's enhance the integrity of our digestive process so we can assimilate the good fats and detoxify the bad fats. This is critically important because these fats cause cancer, disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a host of conditions which we'll talk about here in just a second. So let me continue. This saga continues. Let's say the bile is not efficient, or let's say the villi are stuck to the side of the wall and these fats can't be absorbed. They go on through into the large intestine. Your bile goes on through into the large intestine. The bile will hook up back onto those parasites, those cancer-causing chemicals. That's what bile does. It attaches to chemicals and it pulls those toxins back into your liver. We don't realize it, but up to 90% of your bile gets reabsorbed back to your liver. So now all of a sudden, if you didn't assimilate and digest and detoxify those chemicals in the small intestine through the little villi, they're in the large intestine, reacquainting with the bile, reabsorbing the bile back to the liver with the toxins in tow, and the liver becomes overwhelmed. the liver becomes toxic. The liver becomes congested. The bile becomes thick. And when the bile becomes thick, and this happens for years after years after years after years, the bile becomes thicker, congested, the bile becomes more viscous, and it doesn't flow as well. So if you eat a heavy fatty meal and it just sits there, or you get stomach aches, or you become nauseous after a very heavy meal, these are indicators that your bile is not optimized and functioning well, and you're therefore not going to have enough bile to break down those fats into little pieces so you can absorb those chemicals and detoxify yourself in a proper manner. In addition, though that bile is there to mitigate or neutralize the acid coming out of your stomach, and if that stomach acid comes into the small intestine and there's not enough bile, that acid causes heartburn, acidity. It causes irritation of your upper intestinal mucosa, producing more reactive mucus, which sticks those little villi onto the side of the wall of the intestinal tract, and that becomes non-functional. In addition, the bile will get so thick it'll congest what's called the common bile duct, which is where the gallbladder squirts out the bile into the small intestine, and it shares that with the pancreas. And now all of a sudden, the pancreas, this is crazy, can't flow and flush or secrete its pancreatic enzymes into the small intestine so we can digest our food. So now everybody is told by their natural doctor you should take digestive enzymes because we supposedly can't make enzymes after a certain period of time at a certain age. This is simply not true. The fact of the matter is that more than likely your bile has become thick, it's congested the common bile duct, your pancreatic enzymes can't squirt or secrete digestive enzymes into the small intestine, and now we have an issue with regard to you digesting your food. Not only one with your fats, with your bile can't get there, but your digestive enzymes can't get there as well. So before we go racing into taking digestive enzymes and racing into taking lots and lots of mega doses of fish oils, let's optimize and enhance our digestive system. The story continues. If the liver becomes too congested, the liver will secrete the fats back into the bloodstream. The bloodstream will look for fatty tissues to store them in, and they'll go into your fat cells. And one study done on our Panchakarma Detox program, where people come for 7 days and do these very deep, rejuvenating detox treatments, a cancer-causing fat-soluble chemical called dioxin was pulled out of people's fat cells that had been stored for 25 years. So these chemicals will go from your liver to your blood to your fat cells and store there for a lifetime. In that same study, 13 of the major cancer-causing fat-soluble chemicals were detoxed out of the fat cells and continued to detox for 3 months after the therapies were done. So it's critically important we know how to detoxify these, but also remember, our body naturally detoxifies these fat cells on its own. So we have to optimize digestion for that to be, something that we have naturally.